Are you treating real estate like it's some hobby, or are you really taking it serious as a life-changing business? And unless you've been living under the rock, the social media posts the last 10 days have been just going crazy with this market statistic that 71% of real estate agents did not sell a single home in 2025. Now, I don't know if that stat's true or not, but when I heard it personally, like my mind was blown, because that is a huge problem. That means that the majority of us are treating real estate like it's a side hobby. A full 71% of people are treating it like a side hobby. And so I just want to take a second to really dive into what I have seen and what I know is possible. So first, I want to tell you about my friend Sawyer. Sawyer and I met about 2.5 years ago when he was working his full-time job as a contractor, and he was doing real estate on the side. And his goal was really to get into a place where he was working with his brain instead of his hands, because he knew what he was doing with his hands wasn't sustainable long term. So he kept trying to balance both, but he wasn't getting the results or the traction that he was looking for in real estate. And the moment that he went all in on real estate, quit his job, committed to the systems, and did these habits every single day, he made $200K in his first full year of real estate. Like, that was huge. And there's also my friend Jennifer. Jennifer was experienced in real estate. She had done a number of different jobs in real estate. She had worked in property management. She'd been an ISA for a big team. And frankly, she had been working her tail off, grinding on conversion skills, but something just like wasn't clicking for her. She was working, but her mindset and schedule weren't right. So the moment that she got her mindset dialed in and protected her schedule, everything went pop, and she hit her first 6-figure year. Now this year, she's really focused on taking that next step in her business and having a $250K year, which is huge. And so Jennifer and Sawyer, these agents are treating real estate like a hobby, started treating it like a life business that it is. And so today we're going to break down the exact system to build a sustainable 6-figure business by mastering the 5 non-negotiables. And these 5 non-negotiables are: number 1, mindset. Mindset's the identity shift that separates the hobby agents from the business builders. Then we have number 2, which is schedule. And we're going to be sharing the exact daily structure that creates compounded momentum in your business. Next is lead generation. And lead generation is the focus that constantly is filling your pipeline. Then we have our lead nurture as our 4th pillar. And that's exactly how to love on your prospects so that they want to do business with you. And then last of the 5 pillars is conversion. And that's the framework that helps you close 50 to 70% of your appointments instead of that 10 to 20% you might be at now. So first, Elisa, can you share a little bit about with the audience what type of mindset that we need to get into here?
Yes. All right. So mindset, that is definitely my favorite topic, because regardless of the industry you're in, your problem you have to solve, or your goal, your mindset is the starting point. It's the platform of everything you do. So it's critical that you start with a strong base. So to be really clear, right from the start, when I say mindset, I'm not talking about positive thinking. I'm not thinking about affirmations in the mirror or vision boards. I mean, those all have their place and they're great, but you know what I'm talking about right now is something that's much deeper than that. So mindset is a willingness to do uncomfortable things repeatedly, learn from the outcome, and keep going anyway. It's about making a fundamental identity shift in how you see yourself in this business. And so what I mean by that is you're not just a real estate agent chasing commissions. Okay, that is not your goal. Your goal is to not chase commissions. You're an investment partner. You help property owners make better decisions, whether it's their personal residence, whether it's to rent, sell, optimize, or hold. You operate from a place of abundance and service, not desperation. You don't carry, what we've heard the term commission breath, that energy where people can smell that you need the deal more than they do. Instead, you're helping people to build generational wealth. And here's that beautiful part about it. When you genuinely help people make money, money naturally flows to you. And as an investment partner, you believe in compounding interest, not just financial compounding, but the compounding of your daily actions. The small things you do today, the calls, the follow-up, the learning, the showing up, they compound over time into massive results. So we'll talk about why this matters. This business guarantees rejection before reward. So again, it guarantees rejection before you ever see a reward. And here's the truth that most people don't tell you. Confidence is built after action, not before. You don't just wake up confident. You become confident by doing that thing scared and learning that you can handle it. Your income is delayed, it's unpredictable, and it's emotionally taxing. Your market, your clients, the outcomes, those are all outside of your control. But your actions, those are 100% within your control. And here's what happens without a growth mindset. Agents will self-sabotage long before the business has had time to work. They quit right before that breakthrough. They stop doing the uncomfortable things because they haven't seen the result yet. And they forget that their investment partner's building something real. So it's about building. So if you take nothing else from what I'm sharing today, take this. Your mindset isn't something that's nice to have. It's a foundation of everything. It's what keeps you going when the market's hard. It's what helps you serve from abundance when your bank account says otherwise. It's what changes you from someone who's chasing deals into someone building generational wealth for yourself and your clients. So that's mindset, and that's where we have to start. So I know, Nate, I know you have an opinion and thought around mindset, and it's something that I've seen show up in you consistently, and I know that's why you get the results that you do. You share a little bit on yours?
No, I appreciate that. I mean, you're touching on, what really matters in this industry to actually succeed. And so, what does this mindset actually do for you, right? So like, what does it do? And essentially it allows you to stay in motion when results lag, stay coachable instead of defensive, and stay long enough for your skills to be able to compound. So when you adopt the investment, as you're referring to, the investment agent mindset, I mean, you become magnetic to property owners, and investors. Why? Because you're unattached to any single deal. So you're not desperate. You're building a portfolio of relationships. And so, this separates producers from agents grinding it out at traditional brokerages. But without this shift, you're still chasing transactions and competing on commissions. You quit after your first rejection wave, right? You blame the leads, the market, the splits. I've heard it all. I've seen it all. But the blueprint breaks down 5 core mindset shifts that you need to make. The first being emotional ownership, which is essentially separating who you are from how a deal went. The second is coachability over ego. Okay, so viewing feedback as data, not criticism. I'm always looking to learn from the next person. And being in the industry for 12 plus years, I mean, there's things that I pick up on from newer agents. So just having that willingness to be coachable and just leaving your ego at the door and taking the feedback as data, not criticism is very important. Number three is responsibility without shame. So owning mistakes quickly without blame. And number 4, consistency over emotion. That's really important. So working the plan regardless of your mood, right? And that's when having a calendar and having things, already set in motion so that there's no negotiations available. It's like, it's non-negotiable. This is my time on my calendar. This is my time block from, 10 to 12, where I'm doing an hour of prospecting or an hour of follow-up. And then the last one, 5, failure as a requirement, like using rejection to refine your strategy, like ultimately pivots you in the right direction. And so here's how you implement this. The blueprint gives you 5 practical steps. Change your internal language from I'm bad at this to I'm still developing this skill. So focus on only controllables, your calls, follow-ups, appointments, not client decisions or market shifts. But if you're building that type of evidence through action, confidence is something you find, right? It's something you earn. And so remember this, momentum is the most important thing in your business. It really is. You don't think your way into momentum, you act your way into it. Okay. And so every conversation, every follow-up, every role play session, like that's evidence. That is definitely evidence. So confidence doesn't create action. Action creates confidence. That's what I would say on that.
Love it. Love it. And so if you guys want to get more information on specifically mindset and the entire six-figure blueprint, we have a free download at sixfigurerealestateagents.com/100K system. It'll be in the comments of the live feed on Facebook and Instagram. But I don't want to spend too much time on that. I want to just continue giving value today. And so Elisa, can you talk to us a little bit more about the schedule that it takes to actually be successful in the business?
Yes, absolutely. So we talked about mindset, and that's the foundation. But here's the thing, mindset without structure is just theory. So you can have the best mindset in the world, but if you don't control your time will control you. And that's why the blueprint gives you the one controllable win system. And here's what it looks like. So it's all detailed in the blueprint you're about to download. Every morning, you front load your income producing activities. So you do those first. It could look 30 minutes of role play, 30 minutes of MLS review, 60 minutes of lead generation, 60 minutes of lead follow-up, and 30 minutes of learning. By lunch, you've already won the day. And so what a huge support you have to building that mindset, get that wind under your belt. Here's why it matters. Without structure, urgency hijacks intention. And I'm sure you've all been there, that you have all these laid out plans and then things come throwing at you. So you've got to make sure that you hit your structured items first. Otherwise, you spend your day reacting to text, emails, and busy work. You'll feel buried but broke. So with the one controllable win system, you create compounding momentum. That's 250 plus wins per year. Predictable activity will equal your predictable income. The rule is simple. Focus on one controllable a day. If you hit your activity numbers, you've won the day, regardless of the outcomes. A daily win may be that you made 20 contacts, you had 5 follow-ups sent, you had 1 appointment set, or you had 1 script mastered. So not close a deal or get a yes, because those aren't in your control. The blueprint breaks down exactly how to time block your week every Sunday in preparation for the next week. Protect your lead generation time like it's sacred, because it is. Front load controllables before reactive work, and stack wins into transformation. So here's what a high income weekly rhythm looks like. So daily, 1 hour lead generation, 1 hour follow-up, 30-minute skill building, weekly 2 trainings, 1 accountability call, 1 to 2 open houses, 3 to 5 content pieces. That's what consistency looks like. And Sam, I know that you've been doing this for quite a while and you've had some very consistent, strong results. And I know that you definitely have a strong rhythm in what you do to achieve those results. Do you have any pointers on that?
Sam, you're mute. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Thanks, Elisa. I just think if you follow the blueprint, you're following a system and a structure, and that requires time blocking where you don't allow the distractions to come into play. So the problem with most people is they know what they're going to do throughout the day, right? They go, oh, I'm going to do this and this, but it's not a part of their structure. It's not built into their calendar. And then they get the curveballs, right? All the things that get in the way of successful business owners. And as we know, 20% of our efforts create 80% of our business. And so if you're time blocking and you're actually doing the activities that are in the blueprint, it's just a recipe for success. And so role playing, very important, making sure you're actually prospecting during that prospecting time. That's the most successful time of the day. But if you time chunk that and you do it every single day, it's just a recipe for success.
Absolutely. They don't. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Elisa.
I was just going to add on to that, that the top agents, as Sam was demonstrating, don't fit in the lead generation. They build their business around it. So, you've already got that mindset. The blueprint that we're giving you access to will really help you get that schedule. And so the biggest thing is not just downloading it, but taking action, because you don't think your way into momentum, you act your way into it.
I love it. And like you said, Elisa, having that lead generation portion in our calendar, in that schedule, and that commitment daily, what you promise to do each day, is one of the most important things you can do. And so this is like the perfect segue into our lead generation pillar. And so one of my favorite books of all time for real estate, for sales, for anything, is Fanatical Prospecting. If you haven't read it, highly recommend it. And he says it better in the book than anybody else. The pipe is life, and that you cannot allow your pipeline to ever go empty. And so lead generation is all about picking your 2 to 4 favorite pillars. And so if you're newer, I recommend picking 2. If you're experienced, you could probably do 3. Only if you're really master level should you really go into 4. And like Alex Hormozy, one of my favorite internet personalities, always says, it's all about more, better, new. So do more of one pillar until you can't physically do any more of that pillar. Then focus on getting better at it. And when you're a master of that pillar, that's when you can add another pillar. Until you can't do any more and you can't get any better, there's no reason to add another pillar. And ultimately, you want to be the person who delivers one kick 1,000 times as opposed to 1,000 different kicks one time. And so you can pick these different lead generation pillars from really 4 different categories. So those 4 categories are: first, warm outreach. So in real estate, that's going to be our sphere of influence, the people who already know, like, and trust us. Then we have our cold outreach. Cold outreach can be like FRBO, expired listings, for sale by owner, circle prospecting, the list goes on. These are great for cold outreach. Then you have third category is content. Content is going to be social media posting, email lists, newsletters. And one that I really, really love is open houses. And then last is your paid ads. So you have like your Zillow Flex, your Google pay-per-click, realtor.com, whatever the type of channel of paid ads is that you like. So what you do is you pick 2 of these categories only, and go all in. And if lead gen isn't your daily focus, your biggest daily focus, then your business is slowly suffering a slow death. And the number one reason that businesses fail is because they have an empty pipeline. Nate, do you have anything to kind of expand upon for lead generation, how it fits into your business? You're muted, so you know.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. I would say, I mean, you touched on a lot of good points. The most important thing is like you mentioned, like just pick 1 to 2 at least to start. So that way you get the ball rolling and you become consistent and master, what those, where those leads are coming from, whichever form that may be. Another thing I would add on to what you said is continue to practice your listing presentations, your buyer's presentations. And the more you do that, the more confident you are in that, the more value you're able to, to bring to your clients, and to be able to articulate it in a professional manner by, understanding, what their goals are, what's important to them, and why that's important to them, and showing them what their best options are. That ultimately, that is what we are here for. And so I see a lot of the times, like, a lot of buyers agents are a little scared to go on those listing appointments, and they'll bring a listing, someone such as myself with them, and that's fine. But eventually in your business, like, you want to get to the point where you can be confident and do that appointment on your own. But like, it's all teamwork. And so that's just a part of being in the business. But I would say definitely, like, don't hold yourself in one lane. Like, you are fully capable to do everything. In real estate, but residential, you can get into investments, you can get into a lot of different arenas. That's very, beneficial, and really just helps improve everybody's business at the same time.
Awesome. So again, there's way more details in the free download that we provided. 6figurerealestateagents.com 100K system. Again, Elisa, though, for our 4th pillar, we want to talk a little bit about lead nurture. Can you kind of fill us in about lead nurture and how this relates to building a 6-figure business?
Yeah, and this is where most agents leave 80% of their revenue on the table, is lead nurture. So here's the brutal truth. Most agents quit after 1 attempt. And I've seen it. I've seen the people that make 1 million dials, but they're not to the same number. Maybe 2 or 3 touch points if they're persistent. But here's what data shows. The real money lives on touch points 7 to 12. That's where trust builds and timing aligns. This is where the average agent quits and where you win if you stay persistent and consistent. As an investment partners, we have an unfair advantage. Every property owner you talk to is a potential investment partner, even if they don't list or buy right now. Here's how it works. You can sign them up for property management, which creates immediate income through PM fees. long-term relationships with ongoing touch points, future transaction opportunities, lease up, sales, portfolio growth. You diagnose their timeline, build a follow-up cadence, and always book a meeting from a beating. So no, that sounds like I said from a beating, not a beating. Book a meeting from a meeting. So no more getting ghosted. You ensure that no conversation ends open-ended. While other agents are chasing new leads, you're nurturing relationships that mature into deals probably 6 to 12 months later. And so without that nurture, those leads go cold and competitors swoop in. You've always seen another agent now working with a client that you had. That means that you were not, really sticking with your nurture and you let them go cold. So you'll always be starting from zero without that step. So, but with the investment partner model plus disciplined nurture, not now becomes a yes 6 to 12 months later. And you get paid even when they don't transact immediately.
Yeah, one thing I'll kind of touch base on that. I've signed up 7 accounts in the last 2 months for property management, and this is more so long-term ROI. Okay, because who do you think they're going to use when they go to sell? Obviously that is the goal, right? So that's 7 potential future listings 12 to 24 months from now that you get as an agent in this blueprint system. And so you're essentially building a book of business on the listing side, which is very unique. And I've seen yet any other, brokerage able to offer something like that.
Love it.
Yeah. It isn't just follow up. It's the difference between hoping for deals and building a pipeline that compounds. So as you do it time over time, you start building a repeatable business. And remember, most agents give up at touch 2 or 3. So you're just getting started, and this blueprint's going to show you how. And be that agent that is swooping up on the ones that the agents give up at touch 2 or 3.
So good. And follow up is so important, and it's so important that we make it the biggest focus in our business to make sure we get done every day. Last week we did a spotlight with Cyrus, who is a top performing agent, sold over 35 million in 2025. He equated getting into a CRM first thing in the morning to do follow-up as equivalent to him taking a shower or brushing his teeth. So for a top performer, that's how serious he's taking. He's like, oh, if I have to brush my teeth, I also have to go into my CRM, complete my task. So that's how he's habit stacking with follow-up. And so I just love that so much. And so that's our 4th pillar. And our 5th and final pillar for our 100K system is around conversion. And I'm a little bit contrarian, I guess, when it comes to conversion, because a lot of people out there, a lot of team leaders, a lot of experts out in the field will tell you, hey, this is the one way you have to do it. You have to follow my system. But I believe there's actually a million different ways to do it. And some of those ways are really great, and some of them maybe not as good, but they all have some form of systems now. And so the only system that really works is the one that you work, the one that where you're going to feel ultra confident and comfortable in it. And so that means get a system down and then role play it daily to sharpen that delivery. We need to practice this until it's conversational and consultative and it doesn't feel scripted at all. And ultimately, we're going out there to make friends. People want to do business with other people they like. I personally want to do business with people that I like. And so I think a lot of times we think that we need to be all buttoned up and professional and like have our clients perceive us a certain way in order to succeed. But the reality is we just need to go out there and make friends. We need to ask great questions, prescribe the best path forward, then provide the proof of people you've helped in the past with testimonials, case studies, any market data, and then just practice it over and over and over until it feels more like a conversation and not at all like a pitch. And with conversion, it's like anything else in life. The sharper your axe gets, the fewer swings you're going to need to actually cut down that tree. So build a system, master the presentation, and then start closing a higher percentage so that you need fewer leads and start making more money. Sam, what's been kind of your experience through your years in real estate of conversion?
Well, conversion is all about making someone like and trust you first and foremost, right? And so all of those things you're talking about are key. Knowing what it is you do, knowing what separates you from the rest of the pack, because everybody knows a bunch of realtors, right? So how do we differentiate ourselves? We differentiate ourselves by sounding confident, knowing what it is that separates us from everybody else, and then using sort of the tricks of the trade, right? Which would be making sure you ask questions and stop and listen. Because the more a person feels like you are listening and that you're understanding, and so, you know, you talk about their family, their occupation, recreation, then you talk about business, right? So you talk about those things that are important to them. They begin to like and trust you, and then they convert. But you also got to know immediately, if someone puts you on the spot and they ask you what it is you do, you know, you got to be able to, you know, share that quickly and confidently.
Mhm.
I had someone ask me yesterday, another agent, and they're like, hey, can I record what you just said? That is the greatest compliment, right? Because what I said worked. And I said, yeah, you know, go ahead. And I'll go ahead and repeat what I did. So when you do that, you're going to have great conversion. So it's a combination of all the things in this blueprint. But more importantly, you have to be able to get people to like and trust you, especially if you're doing cold marketing. That first impression is super important. What do you do in a first impression? You listen. You ask questions, listen, and then ask questions that are important to that person that create an emotional response in their brain that goes from the defense mechanism to the other side of the brain that's, hey, I like this person, right? They're a friend, not a foe. Because when we're cold marketing, we're always a foe until we cross over that border, right? Or over that barrier, rather. And so I've just found over the years that if you know what you're talking about, then sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. And like Nate said, sometimes you got to bring somebody along and you kind of, you know, you utilize that leverage of borrowed credibility. But really what it comes down to is being a real person. It's okay to make mistakes. You're not going to get it right every time, right? But as long as you stop and listen and then expand and repeat what they just said to you is a really good trick. If someone says, you know, I'm interested in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Oh, you're interested in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Tell me more about that, right? So now you're listening, not tell. And then the key component to this whole thing is learn a couple of stories that you've had from previous clients or other people's experiences where it creates an emotional response, where you talk about how that homeowner was looking and you helped them find a house and what it did for their family. And that was their first house they bought. And that's going to create a legacy for that family moving forward, where everybody knows they can buy a home, right? And talk about the value of home versus, and the difference between a house that you've purchased versus a rental property where you're paying someone else's house off. Knowing those things, hitting emotional buttons it's just crucial in this business. I'll give it back to you.
So great. And so we'll kind of wrap things up for you guys here. Thanks for coming in and listening in. And after the live is over, we're in each of our social profiles will have the link to the download. Again, it's the sixfigurerealestateagents.com/100K systems. And just kind of in closing, these 5 pillars really aren't meant to be independent. They're meant to be an ecosystem that really all work really well together. And if you're missing one, it's likely that they will not continue on to the path of success that you're looking for. So just remember that mindset fuels the discipline. Your schedule protects your focus and then compounds the momentum that you're building. The lead gen is filling your pipeline. Then you start to nurture to convert conversations into transactions and recurring revenue. But then ultimately, the conversion is what's maximizing every opportunity for you. And if you're able to master these 5 things, then adding 6 figures isn't just a dream, it's inevitable. So you've got the plan, now you need the rhythm. Create your calendar, track your progress. Remember, you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be consistent. So the compound effect is very, very real, but it's only if you show up. So again, we put all of this into a PDF document of all of our different years of experience. We've probably about 100 years of real estate experience combined on this call today. And we've combined this all into a blueprint of exactly how to handle all of this. So go download the 6-figure blueprint and go and build the business of your dreams. Thanks for joining in. Look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Bye.